Aloha. My name is David Tarnas, Chair of the Committee on Water and Land, and welcome to our hearing today, which is a joint hearing with the Committee on Water and Land and the Committee on Agriculture. So I appreciate Chair Hashem and Vice Chair Peruso and all the members of the Committee on Agriculture for welcoming us to join them for this joint committee hearing for the purposes of hearing one bill. That is House Bill 1721. This is relating to feral animal management. Those who are testifying today, I urge you to keep your video off and your audio muted until we call on you. When we call on you, please turn on your video and your audio, provide us your input, and then turn it off again so we can move forward. And I urge you all to do as you always do, is operate and conduct yourselves with the finest tradition of aloha, and we'll all do just fine. If anything happens with the network and you lose your internet connection, just try to get back in, and time allowing, we'll provide the opportunity for you to finish your testimony. If for some reason everything just crashes and we have to reschedule, we'll post the hearing notice publicly so you'll all know when we're going to meet again if we need to do that. No worries. Okay, let's move ahead and have the testimony on HB 1721. Chair Hashem, may I proceed?
Yes, please.
Thank you. First up, we have testimony with comments from the Department of Agriculture, Ms. Phyllis Shimabukuro-Geyser. Please proceed.
Aloha and good morning, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committees. The department stands on its written testimony offering comments, and we're available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we've received written testimony with comments from the Department of Budget and Finance. Next, we have testimony in support from the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Ms. Marigold Zoll, please proceed.
Good morning, Chair Tarnas, Chair Hashim, Vice Chairs Bronco and Peruso, and members of the committees. The department supports the measure and offers amendments. We've provided quite a lot of information supporting this, and we are available for comment and questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony in opposition from Brian Lay, Hawaii County Game Management Advisory Council. Mr. Lay, are you available? It doesn't appear so. Members, I refer you to his testimony in opposition. Next, we have testimony in support from Council Member Yuki Lei Sugimura. We have testimony in support from the Hawaii Farm Bureau, Brian Miyamoto. Is Mr. Miyamoto available? Yes, please proceed, Mr. Miyamoto.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairs Tarnas and Hashem, Vice Chairs Bronco and Peruso, and members of the committees. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. You have a written testimony in front of you. I just want to remind you how devastating some of the impacts of these feral animals are. Maui County, on Maui and Molokai with the axis deer, I think you've seen all the news reports. Feral pigs, we don't know if any island or county or farming operation on any of these islands that aren't impacted by the feral pigs and the damage that they're doing and that can do. And something that we addressed a few years ago, rose-ring parakeets and their penchant for fruits and how they're damaging our farmers' livelihoods. And now we see feral chickens. I see some measures addressing feral chickens. So we do appreciate any effort to help control, not just for our farming community, but for our environment, our ecosystem. These feral animals, we are asking for some kind of control. They're devastating to our agriculture industry. Thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Mr. Miyamoto. Next, we have received written testimony in support from the Maui County Farm Bureau, written testimony in support from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council, testimony in support from Micah Munikata from Ulupono Initiative. Micah, please proceed.
Good morning, Chair Tarnas, Chair Hashem, members of the committee. Micah Munikata on behalf of the Hawaii Ulupono Initiative. Just want to testify in strong support of this. Ulupono did a lot of work over the last interim to really seek out some of the issues facing local producers across the state. And one consistent theme that continues to come up is management of feral ungulates. They continue to infiltrate those that are lucky enough to have a fence, whether it's digging through or jumping over. And when they do get through, they do trample on crops, and a lot of hard work and effort that go into, pretty much money in the fields for these local farmers. So, what we've come across also is that a lot of federal programs that may exist on the books are very tough for local producers to take advantage of. A lot of eligibility requirements and funding issues to really address control. So I really appreciate the state looking at this effort, and we're very supportive in moving forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Munikata. Next, we have testimony and support from Clayton Kubo. Mr. Kubo, the floor is yours. Please proceed.
Thank you very much for having me testify. Okay, I'm in support if you guys gonna at least speak to stakeholders there in the communities, meaning hunters also, because hunting is an activity. It's a gathering to go and gather food, and the so-called hoofed animals, it's a reliable resource, yeah, for people that cannot afford the meat in the stores right now because meat prices is ridiculously high. So I'm in support with an amendment to at least add in stakeholders, community members, and also hunters. Mahalo for your time, and thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Kubo. Aloha. We have received written testimony and support from Kimiona Kane, Kristen Mack Almason, Mary Metcalf, Meredith Miller, Jody Rassam. Testimony in opposition from Nani Pogline and Stanley Mendez. I'm going to circle back and see if Mr. Brian Lay has joined us. Does not appear so. Nope. Okay, that is all the testimony that we have received on this measure. Members in the Water and Land Committee, any questions for our testifiers today? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to you, Chair Hashem, if any of your members have questions for testifiers.
Any members have questions? Seeing none?
Thank you.
The chair is, the floor is yours, Chair.
Thank you. Members, I would like to move directly into decision-making on this after reading all of the testimony that has come in and listening to the testimony today. What I'd like to do is to take the recommendation from the Department of Land and Natural Resources and adopt the amendments that they have recommended. Change the effective date to July 1, 2050, make some technical amendments. And I want to include in the committee report the admonition that DLNR actively engage in consultation with the stakeholders, as Mr. Kubo had identified. That's essential as we move forward in doing the work to manage these populations of animals so that they can continue to be a sustainable food source, but also we can address the problems where we have so many that they're causing trouble with our agriculture production and traffic safety. So with that, my recommendation is to pass out on HD1, adopt the DLNR amendments, change the effective date to July 1, 2050, and make technical amendments. Members of Water and Land, any questions, any discussion? Mr. Kong.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question. In your amendments, you will include the amounts also that DLNR suggested?
DLNR, I'll include the amounts in the committee report and blank out any appropriation in the bill itself.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Kong. Representative Kobayashi.
Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if there will be any specification as to which feral animals will be given priority.
I think it's clear in our findings what we're referring to. since we talk about the goats on Hawaii Island, access deer on Maui. I think though that there are other places where pigs are in such abundance that they're causing trouble with farms. So I think I would like to leave that up to DLNR in consultation with the local hunters and farmers to figure out what's the animals of priority to address there. So that would be my recommendation.
Well, I think the problem is so big that I think there might be better success if there's a focus of effort. I can't imagine how much money would be needed just for the feral deer, much less the pigs, etc. But okay, thank you.
I appreciate your concern. I just know that in each different island, it seems that there's a different animal that is overpopulating it, causing trouble. So I'd like to leave that to the local consultation and the local experts. Other questions, discussion, members, water, land? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to you, Chair Hashem. Or shall I just go ahead and take my vote and then?
Committee on Agriculture, same question, same recommendation. Any concerns? Seeing none. Thank you very much, members.
Okay.
Please
Chair.
take the vote. And can you take the vote for the Agriculture Committee too? Also, you have the vote sheets?
I have it.
Okay, never mind. We'll do that.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we'll, Chair Hashem, if it's okay with you, I'll ask my vice chair to take the vote for water and land, then I'll turn it back to you for your committee to take a vote
Yes,
for your
please.
committee.
Thank you.
Okay,
Chair,
great.
can I, was there a second for discussion? Can I make some quick comments?
Yes, yes, you may.
I'm going to vote WR. I mean, I support the effort to control feral animals 100%, but I'm just concerned with putting anything in policy that specifically affirms that we're committing to a policy of long-term management for a sustainable food source. I think the reality is that there's going to be a role for hunters to play, and that eradication of some of these animals is a long way off. That's the reality. But I think that the science points to the fact that these are a threat to our native forests, our watersheds, and that, the idea that we're going to long-term commit to it, like embracing a policy where we keep these ungulates, at a sustainable population level. I think it's going to take more taxpayer dollars than other types of policies might. So I have reservations.
Okay. Thank you for your input.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Chair, back to you.
Thank you, Chair Hashem. There being no further discussion on this recommendation, I'll ask Vice Chair Bronco to take the vote on HB 1721 with amendments. Vice Chair.
The recommendation of the chair is to pass House Bill number 1721 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Gandon?
Aye.
Representative Kobayashi?
Aye.
Representative Kong?
Aye.
Representative Morikawa?
Aye.
Representative Ono?
Aye.
Representative McDermott is excused. The measure passes for the Water and Land Committee.
Thank you. Back to you, Chair Hashem.
Okay, Committee of Agriculture, same recommendation. Vice Chair for the vote, please.
Voting on House Bill 1721, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye. Representative Lowen voting with reservations. Representative Martin.
Aye.
Representative Mariyoshi.
Aye.
Representative Todd.
Aye.
Representative Tokioka is excused. Representative Matsumoto. Excused. Chair recommendation has been adopted.
Thank you, members. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much to the Committee on Agriculture for hosting us today. And we have no further business before this joint committee meeting. We are adjourned.
Good job. Today is February 11th, Friday. It's 9:45 a.m. We are in conference room 325. This is a joint committee with the Committee on Agriculture and the Committee on Economic Development. My name is Mark Hashem. I'm the chair. Sitting next to me is the vice chair, Representative Peruso, and also the chair of the Economic Development Committee, Sean Quinlan. And we have two measures in front of us today. First up, we have HB 1499 relating to food safety. We're going to get right in. First up is Department of Agriculture with comments.
Good morning and aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committees. The department stands on its written testimony, supporting the intent and offering comments.
Okay,
Mahalo.
thank you very much. Next up, we have Department of Agriculture again, North Shore EVP in support.
Good morning. This is Kevin Kelly. I'm the president of North Shore EVP. We stand by our testimony as written, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Hawaii Food Industry Association in support. Not on. Next, we have Ulupono Initiative in support.
Good morning, Chair Hashem, Chair Quinlan, members of the committees. Mike Munikata on behalf of the Ulupono Initiative. We'll stand on our testimony in support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Morning, Chairs Hashem, Quinlan, Vice Chairs Peruso and Holt, and members of the committees, Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We'll stand on a written testimony in support.
Okay, thank you very much. That is all the people that we have registered to testify. We have about a dozen more people that submitted testimony in support, a few companies also. Is there anybody else wishing to testify? Morris Alta? Is Department of Agriculture, Morris Alta, do you want to say something?
No, thank you. I was just available for questions.
Okay. Good. Seeing none, members, Agriculture Committee members, do you have any questions? Seeing none, I will turn it over to Economic Development.
ECD members, any questions? No questions, Chair.
Seeing none, we are moving on. Next up, we have HB 1812 relating to NELHA. And first up, we have Department of Agriculture in support.
Yeah. Mahalo, chairs and vice chairs and members of the committee. Phyllis Shimabukuro Geyser, Chair, Department of Agriculture. We stand in support and stand by our written testimony. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, chairs and members of the committees. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We'll stand on our written testimony in support.
Next, we have Hawaii Aquaculture Aquaponics Association in support. And we have testimony in support from the Natural Energy Laboratory of Hawaii Authority. I think this is in support. Yes, in support or comments. That's it. Are they on? Okay. Nelha, do you want to testify?
Chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, I'm Greg Barber, Executive Director at NELHA. We'll stand on our written testimony and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the Agriculture Committee, do you have any questions? Seeing none,
Sorry, Chair, I have a question.
Sure, Representative Lowen.
Sorry, for Nelha, for Greg. I don't have your written testimony. Actually, I apologize. I'm just zooming in. Can you just briefly summarize for us?
We were in support of this measure. After considerable research, we believe that our existing legislation is very broad and includes aquaculture, and all of the existing projects here comply with our statutes. And adding aquaculture will only further clarify our mission.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, any other questions? Seeing none, I will yield the floor to Economic Development Committee.
ECD members, any questions? No questions, Chair.
Seeing none, we will recess for decision making. We'll jump right in really quick. Ready? Okay, gaveling. Can you hear me? Gaveling back in for decision making on our joint agenda with on the Committee on Agriculture, joint with the Committee on Economic Development. First up, HB 1499 relating to food safety. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HG1, just defecting the date to 7/1/2050, making technical amendments for clarity and style, and that's about it. Members, any comments or concerns? Seeing none, I will, well, yeah, okay. Vice Chair for the vote.
Voting on HB 1499, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye, noting the excused absences of Representative Tokioka and Representative Matsumoto. Are there any reservations or no votes? None.
Caruso, Matsumoto's here.
Great, thank you. Noting the presence of Representative Matsumoto, are there any no votes or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. I yield to Economic Development Committee.
Committee on Economic Development, same recommendation. Members, questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
House Bill 1499, Chair's recommendation to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Velati is excused.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Got it. Representative Velati votes aye. Representative Kobayashi is excused. Representative Onishi.
Aye.
Representative Sayama.
Aye.
Representative Takayama. Representative Okimoto.
Aye.
Thank you, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, members. Next up, we have HB 1812 relating to NELHA. Chair's recommendation is to defect the date to 7/1/2050, making technical amendments, and that's about it. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Chair's recommendation on HB 1812 is to pass with amendments, noting the excused absence of Representative Tokioka. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye. Are there any noes or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, I have a question. Noah Matsumoto, how do you vote?
Noah Matsumoto votes aye.
Thank you very much. Well, I got to hear it from him.
We actually have, everybody say aye. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you. Next, I defer to Economic Development Committee.
Committee on Economic Development, same application.
House Bill 1812, Chair's recommendation to pass with amendments. Noting excused absence of Representative Kobayashi. Do we have any reservations? Do we have any no votes? No voting aye, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, members. The hearing is adjourned. Caruso, the Vice Chair. Today is Friday, February 11th, 2022. It's 10 a.m. and we are in the Capitol in room 325. Today we have, well, first up on our agenda is HB 2418 relating to agriculture. And first person to testify is Department of Agriculture with comments.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Phyllis Shimabukuro Geyser, Chairperson, Hawaii Department of Agriculture. Yes, we stand on our written testimony supporting the intent and offering comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have Agriculture Business Development Corporation in support. ADC, you guys on?
Yeah, am I on? Yeah.
There you go. Jimmy,
Thank
you're
you,
on.
Chair.
You got the floor.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Bruce, and members of the committee. My name is Jimmy Nakatani. I'm testifying on measure House Bill 2418. We support the intent and we have some comments. And ADC appreciates the support from the legislature regarding this bill. However, our comments are that we are not exactly, we believe that the changes to 163D, the composition of the board of ADC should remain the same. And we don't feel that it's necessary that we change the makeup. And if we do put anything in there, hopefully it's pretty broad. And the reason for that is at the present time, we have a very difficult time filling those positions. on the ADC board. Secondly, the other comment is that regarding 163G5, which requires the agribusiness plan, we feel that 1 year is pretty short and maybe we should lengthen it to 3 years just to give us time, more time. And then, but it's just a consideration. And lastly, we'd like to make a recommendation that we repeal 163D 8.5, and that has to do with all of our ADC projects being approved by the Board of Agriculture. And the reason for that, we feel that it's a duplication of effort, and 3 of the members of the Board of Agriculture sits on the Board of ADC, so we feel that that's not really necessary. In closing, I just want to thank the Chair Baladi and the House Investigative Committee for their work detailing our review of our program, and hopefully, as we move forward, this will be helpful to make ADC a better organization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have Hawaii Farm Bureau with comments.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We'll stand on a written testimony providing comments.
Okay, next we have Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action in support.
Hi, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Annie Frederick on behalf of HAPA in strong support with some proposed amendments. HAPA is a statewide organization and we are largely headquartered on Kauai, and our work very much originated when communities on the west side of our island began getting sick from pesticide drift originating from agrochemical fields. These companies are still anchor tenants on the ADC's West Kauai lands and enjoy the use of water infrastructure under the purview of the ADC. We believe this allocation of public lands and waters is very much a form of public subsidy. The agrochemical industry in Hawaii has a track record of pesticide use violations, and even according to the state's own joint fact-finding group study, prior to the passage of Act 45 in 2018, which banned the use of chlorpyrifos, the tenants on ADC lands in Kekaha were using 3 times the national average of chlorpyrifos approximately 100 feet from the Kekaha Hawaiian homesteads. This is troubling for a couple of reasons. We've included several citations to peer-reviewed epidemiological studies in a written testimony that have clearly documented that organophosphates such as chlorpyrifos are documented to drift up to 1 mile from where they're applied, and are also known to cause serious and permanent neurological damage, especially in developing children's brains from up to 1/2 mile. So we believe how we allocate our public lands and resources is really a reflection of what we seek to incentivize. And if we are serious about meeting our state mandates for local food production, we must prioritize the use of public lands accordingly. So this bill begins to bring the ADC into greater alignment with the state's own goals for local food production, but we believe some additional amendments are needed to help specify that the leases are also right-sized for smaller and mid-sized food producers, but also that that there's mandates around how much of those lands are specifically dedicated for our local food production goals, and that those lands are managed sustainably so that future tenants are not inheriting contaminated lands. Thank you for consideration. We're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have Earth Justice in support.
Good morning. I just wanted to warn you, my roof is being worked on, so you might hear some background noise that I apologize for. Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Peruso, and honorable committee members, my name is Kylie Wager Cruz, and I'm an attorney with Earth Justice. We're a nonprofit environmental law firm that represents community groups throughout the islands. We support HB 2418 with the amendments proposed by HAPA. We've been involved in several legal actions involving ADC over the years, particularly with respect to the 10,000 plus acres of lands and infrastructure that ADC manages on the west side of Kauai. When the legislature created ADC back in 1994, it entrusted ADC with both the responsibility and the tremendous opportunity to evolve Hawaii's agricultural industry from a plantation era model to a 21st century diversified model. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in West Kauai. ADC instead swapped the sugarcane industry mostly with large-scale seed crop operations and continued with business as usual with respect to its operation of the sugar plantations, irrigation, and drainage infrastructure. This has had really long-term harmful effects on West Side communities. First, ADC continued diverting the Waimea River and its tributaries at plantation era levels, even though the seed companies needed far less water than that for their crops. This drained sections of the streams dry and destroyed habitat for native stream life. Second, ADC's practice of licensing its lands mostly to seed crop operations overburdened the neighboring environmental justice communities of Keikaha and Waimea with pesticide spraying operations. This polluted the air, soil, and waters, and the spraying operations occurred right next to ADC's drainage ditches that pump millions of gallons of water a day to the ocean, where people fish, gather limu, and surf. So Earth Justice was involved in 2 legal actions to restore stream flow to the Waimea River and to control water pollution from ADC's drainage ditches. Now, I do want to credit ADC. It has made some preliminary incremental progress in reducing the water diversions and reducing the water pollution, but it has taken years of litigation for us to get here. So we recommend that the legislature should take the reins and provide ADC with a strategic vision and roadmap going forward. Through reforming ADC, we have the prime opportunity to reduce our reliance on food imports, create local jobs, leverage Native Hawaiian agricultural practices, and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. So we respectfully urge you to pass this bill with the amendments proposed by HAPA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the people that we have registered to testify on this bill. Their members, do you have any questions? Go ahead.
My first question is.
Representative Caruso, go ahead.
My first question is for HAPA, Annie. So I heard you, if you could summarize for the public, I heard you mention 3 proposed amendments, one around lease size, the second around mandates with respect to how the land is used, what kinds of crops are grown. And then the third is sustainable management. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, or do you want to add a little bit more specificity? Because I think that that's part of this larger public conversation.
Sure. So the bullet points we included in our written testimony, I'll just, if it's okay, I'll just read them specifically.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so that we recommend that the ADC achieve the following by July 1st, 2027. This is just to provide some potential amendment language. At least 80% of all lands within its inventory are leased or licensed for agricultural production. At least 50% of production from its lessees or licensees is intended for local consumption and production in accordance with the principles of sustainable agriculture. At least 20% of leases and licensees of its lands are for parcels no greater than 20 acres. Leases and licensees of at least 20% of all lands within the corporation's inventory prohibit the use of any materials non-compliant with the USDA National Organic Program regulations pursuant to Title VII Code 11 Federal Regulations Part 205. No land within the corporation's inventory shall be leased or licensed to any agricultural operation that meets the regulatory definition of a concentrated animal feeding operation. The corporation shall test the soils of all lands and leases or licenses prior to occupancy. All leases and lands under the corporation's direct or indirect control shall contain provisions requiring that prior to the expiration of the lease or lessees or licensees vacating the leased property shall procure the service of an independent third party to test the soils and remove any and all contaminants above levels existing at the commencement of lease or license term.
Thank you. I didn't see any discussion of including EAs in the licensing agreements, but I think that you kind of get at the gist of that. So thank you for that. And Chair, I have an additional question for Mr. Nakatani. Jeff and Dr. Hani, I had a question about your, so you had 3 objections. One was about, had to do with the makeup of the board as reflected in this bill. The second has to do with, you wanted an extension from 1 year to 3 years for completion of a plan. And the third was that you wanted us to delete the section that would require ADC to subject all of your projects to the Board of Agriculture. So my question has to do with your first objection, the makeup of the board. And I note that the current language in statute says that and I'm reading, so bear with me. So 8 members are selected on the basis of their knowledge, experience, and proven expertise in small and large businesses within the agricultural industry, agricultural economics, banking and real estate, finance, promotion, marketing, and management. And so I think the intention of this bill is to expand that to include folks who are engaged in sustainable agriculture, organic agriculture, traditional Hawaiian practitioners. And I was wondering if you object to the inclusion of those qualities in that broader description, because the way we have it listed in the bill is that there are specific people who are supposed to meet those criteria, right? Specific positions. But I'm wondering if, you know, that whole discussion in the body of the statute that talks about those qualities or characteristics, if we address, you know, that need in that paragraph, how do you feel about that? Because I heard you saying that you have difficulty filling board positions.
I'm not sure of your question, you know, but yeah.
So the chair is going to explain my question.
So, Jimmy, in other words, instead of saying specifically 3 people need to be from, what was it? 3 members shall have substantial experience in local food production, or specifically 1 person, we're going to put local food production, organic and natural food production right into the broad terms above. So when you select members, you try to hit all these points, right? So we're going to expand those points to include, if we put all the requirements that below and we push it up to the broad scope, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You already have some members, right? That are already native Hawaiian and organic producers on your board. Is that correct?
That's correct. Chair Lau is native Hawaiian, part Hawaiian. We have Kaleo Melo, who sits on our board, who is from Seaworm, is Hawaiian. And also Fred is, Mr. Lau is also an organic farmer.
Okay, thank you very much. Good question. Any other questions? Members, any other questions? Seeing none, we are moving on. Next up, we have HB 2062 relating to agriculture loans. First up, we have Department of Agriculture in support.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. We stand on our written testimony in strong support.
Okay, next we have Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
Okay, next we have Ulupono Initiative in support.
Morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Peruso, members of the committee, Mike Komunikata on behalf of the Ulupono Initiative. We'll stand on our testimony in strong support. I just want to mention that, you know, adding another tool for the Department of Ag to really support local producers, especially in times of emergency, is going to be crucial to supporting our food production goals across the state. You know, they've been instrumental, especially during this pandemic. So really showing what they can do, even in times of struggle. So it's really nice to see that the the state's looking to increase some of those dedicated resources to helping them in times of natural disasters or economic downturns. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have an individual that testified in support. That's all the members, all the people that we have registered to testify. So there's no more members. Members, are there any questions? Seeing none, we are moving on. Next up, you have HB 1710. Gotta flip my page. Relating to irrigation. First up, we have Department of Agriculture in support.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Yes, the department stands on its written testimony and support. Mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Ulupono Initiative in support.
Thank you, Chair. Ulupono will stand on its testimony and support, very much so in support of this system and what it provides for the local community there. But also in our testimony, we highlight some of the needs for agricultural water infrastructure across the state and really appreciate this legislature looking at how to support ag. Just want to highlight there's a lot of great projects that are within the governor's administration budget around CIP. The Department of Ag has quite a lot of work to do across the state when it comes to water infrastructure. And we all know that water is the lifeblood of agriculture. So without it, there is no agriculture really. So again, asking for your support of this particular measure and all irrigation projects that do come forward this session. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Hawaii Farm Bureau in support.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the committee, Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bill. We'll stand on our written testimony support. We just want to highlight that this particular system does support small farmers, roughly 5 color farmers and 5 other crop farmers. It's a small system, but they are looking for some CIP for water infrastructure and water delivery for those users of this system. Again, water is critically important for the success of agriculture. So thank you for hearing this measure and we ask for your support.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Local Food Coalition in support.
Good morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Perusa, and members of the committee. Kendo Matsuyoshi on behalf of the Local Food Coalition. We'll stand on our testimony and support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, members. Next, that is all the people that we have registered to testify. We have written testimony from about 20 other individuals, all in support. And members, are there any questions? Seeing none, we are going to move on. Next up, we have HB 1742 relating to the Board of Agriculture. First up, we have Department of Agriculture in support.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Yes, the department stands on its written testimony supporting the intent, and we're available to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have University of Hawaii in support. That's it. Okay. That's all the testimony, or that's all the testifiers that we have registered to testify. We did collect testimony from about a dozen other individuals, all in support. And is there anybody else wishing to testify? Seeing none, is there anybody wishing to ask questions to only the Department of Agriculture? Seeing none, next, we're moving on. Last up, we have HB 2280 relating to real property. First up, we have Community Association Institute LAC in opposition. Nobody's on. Okay, next we have an individual in support by Gay Chang, Vicky Cam in support. We have Carolyn Hyderban in support and one Eileen Panaleo in opposition. We only That's all the testimony that we received. Members, do you wish to ask questions to nobody? Seeing none, we're gonna recess for decision making. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is the Committee on Agriculture. We're back for decision-making. First up, we have HB 2418 relating to agriculture. What we're gonna, Chair's recommendation is to remove section 23D-18, not 18, 8.5, where the Department of Agriculture, no, ADC has to move all their plans up to Department of Agriculture. So we're gonna strike that from their statute. We're gonna change up the board member section. Instead of being detailed to, we're gonna wipe out basically from the changes from page 5, line 16, all the way to page 6, line 11. We're gonna eliminate all of that. And we're gonna sum that all up in, stick into the section above it would be, we're gonna add local food production, organic and natural food production, native Hawaii agricultural practices into the section above. And we're gonna take the first 3 bullets from HAPA and say, all lands within the inventory are leased to agriculture. Yeah, leased to agriculture production. What we're gonna do is take out the take out the first 3 bullets from the HAPA testimony, and we're gonna blank out all the mountains. And that's it. Any concerns or questions? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Chair's recommendation is to pass HB 2418 with amendments, noting.
Oh, and a defective date, sorry, before you start. And a defective date. Right, now you can take the vote.
Okay, passing with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Lowen?
Aye.
Rep. Martin?
Aye.
Rep. Mariyoshi? Excused. Rep. Todd?
Aye.
Rep. Tokioka is excused. Rep. Matsumoto?
Aye.
Chair recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, next we have HB 2062. Chair's recommendation is to blank out the fund amount and put the amount requested, $2.5 million in the committee report, and to effect date to 7/1/2050. That's it. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
Chair's recommendation on HB 2062 is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye, noting the excused absence of Rep. Tokioka. Are there any noes or reservations? Chair seeing none, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, next up we have HB 1710 relating to agriculture. Per the chair's recommendation is to defect date this, technical amendments, and that's it. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
On HB 1710, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye, noting the excused absence of Rep. Tokioka. Are there any noes or reservations? Chair seeing none, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, next up we have HB 1742. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with an HD1. What we're gonna add is add 1 member shall be a resident of Oahu. We have every county or every island on the books except for Oahu. And we're gonna defect date to 7/1/2050 and technical amendments. Any concerns? Neighbor island representatives, any opposition? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
On HB 1742, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye, noting excused absence of Rep. Tokioka. Are there any noes or reservations? Chair seeing none, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, next up we have HB 2280. Chair's recommendation is to pass this out with a defect date. And that's it. And technical amendments if needed. Any concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote.
On HB 2280, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye, noting the excused absence of Rep. Tokioka. Are there any noes or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation has been adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. We are adjourned.